Okay, so what was I gonna show? Oh yeah, let's see this.
Say of this virus. I think we're in the middle of a massive experiment worldwide. And that is
the guinea pigs?
maybe the experiment is, will people listen to scientists? Will people Anthony Fauci over?
So guys, what you guys just heard was, I'm pretty sure if you guys are not familiar with Neil deGrasse Tyson, he's actually one of those guys that really, he kind of reminds me of Bill Nye, the science guy, where he's not necessarily a, scientist. I think he's like an astrophysicist or something. Bill Nye is a complete fraud. He's not a scientist at all. He's just an actor, by the way. But this was in March. This was probably right before the news started being hit with all the deaths, and when they really started, like, showing, really putting out the deaths and supposedly deaths about the corona, how thousands of people are dying and social distancing. But I just need you guys to, this is the whole point of all of this, so you guys can understand why am I even bringing this up. I'm not trying to introduce or prove conspiracies to you, or conspiracy theories that so-called people talk about, that I'm not trying to debunk or undebunk. That's not the goal here. What I'm doing is just, I am just trying to give you guys, or whoever is going to accept a hand or an extra push towards bettering their view, bettering their perception, whatever gifts that you have. It says iron sharpens iron, so I'm here just trying to sharpen your iron, trying to just, whatever talents that you have. So look at it from this perspective. Something as serious as COVID, how they're putting it on the news about how people are dying and people this, why would something like so, sensitive be brought upon, a talk show, comedy show like that? Especially, I know it's a comedy show or whatever, a talk show, but still, people have morals, people have respect. It's a way to do certain things. And the way, if you look at history, these powers that be, and the way they do certain things, they always like to always like to mock the people or tell you the truth, what's really going on. So what did he say? He says he thinks that we are in a massive experiment worldwide, right? And the experiment is, will people listen to scientists? And what he's saying is doctors. Now, this whole time since March up until now, it seems like this prophecy or this prediction that Neil said is actually true. But I believe it's not a prediction or true. I believe it's actually what it is. I don't think we have to look too hard for the truth. I think it's right there. It's right there in your face. And of course, what better than what better than Steve Corbett to go ahead and put the truth out there? Because Satanists, and it's said that they always have to show their cards. Heads up to the people. Um, I guess that was just a certain universal rules or something. So, and that is basically what's happening now. Because what I believe, and I say this with confidence, this whole thing is all about social distancing. Because next time you hear the news, I want you to pay attention and closely what they're saying. You will hear them say certain things like, or politicians when they're giving interviews, you'll hear them responding saying, "Yes, we see um, we see fatalities and we see deaths lowering, but and then they'll say that, and they'll say it's because people are doing such a great job in our state and they're staying home and they're really obeying and they're really." So what they're saying, in basically what they're really saying is, yeah, people are living more and people are dying less because people are listening, they're staying home, and they're staying away from each other. And then they will say things like, but if people continue to deny social distancing, if people want to refuse social distancing and they want to go to church or they want to go to do this, then it's going to be, and it's going to cause, it's going to be the opposite. If people start to do that, you're going to see deaths go right. So they're already putting it in your head that, listen, it's the the death mortality rate is not up to anything else but the people. They're basically making it like 6 feet apart or die. That's what it's coming down to. They're indoctrinating the masses so bad by putting it that it's even the top scientists, even the CDC. If you look at the CDC commissioner interview that he had with NBC not too long ago, after all the things he could say about all the medical advice and all the professional advice that he can give to the populace when he's giving an interview, you know what he decides to say or what he decides to point out? We are beating this and we are to bend the curve. Why? Because people are listening and they're staying away from each other. That's the number one thing that I'm seeing every politician, every CDC, WHO, no matter who you want to call it, their reasoning of why we are going to beat this war is because we are isolating each other. So that tells me that their main goal, and if I think critically here and I stop listening to this and I just look at the evidence as the way it presented, then I actually think about it, and I use common sense at the same time, but actually doing some research, it tells me that it seems like their main agenda, what their mission is it's not really necessarily COVID and the virus and everything else. That's, that comes along with it. It's the after effects. It's leaving the people with kind of like a post-traumatic stress disorder. When people go through something that's very traumatic, they're left with sometimes stressing anxieties, paranoia. And what's going to happen because of what's going on is people are going to be so paranoid and they're going to be so scared to go out. Yes, they might lift the order. They might allow you to go back to work or allow you to go back to school. But you're going to see a dramatic increase in people still keeping their distance away from each other. You're going to see people talk less to each other. It's going to be a big difference when they open up the economy, supposedly, because they are going to, I'll tell you this much, they are going to open up. Whether the economy is going to crash or go low or go high, that's not here or there. I'm not here to talk about that. I'm just here to just tell you that to prepare for prepare for society and your community wherever you are to be living a different, more fearful. And if you are a person that really believes in God and really has faith, and not saying that that gives you the right to walk around cocky or walk around like you're Superman. That's not what I'm saying. It's just, we have a level of faith where some things we won't worry about that much as the average person will. But be prepared to be looked at as crazy, or be prepared to be looked at as someone that is stupid, or someone that is um, not being responsible or not being smart, and we're causing danger to the public because we're talking to other people, or we're talking to this, we're bringing people over to the house, or we're actually doing things that we did normally before that, because people are going to look at those normal things that we did before, and they're going to look at that as dangerous and threatening as time goes on, and the media is going to keep trying to, because just follow what the media is doing. Okay, they showing that they cannot no longer keep up with the whole facade of deaths, because sooner or later it's going to show that millions of people are not really dying, or thousands of people are not really dying. They can't keep holding that and can't keep lying with that. But what they can keep doing is keep the possibility of what coronavirus can do. Because in the beginning, it could be what? It could be cured, you could go home, and you could be good. But what did they do after it? Then they said, no, you can't just be over 65 years old. Actually, a healthy person can get it. Now, what did they say after that? Then they said not only a healthy person can get it, a healthy person can get it and spread it and not even know they spread it. So they're telling you, and they're trying to tell you that you could have spread it to 10 people and to 20 people and not even know. But wait, there's more. It's like an infomercial, right? Or a commercial. Wait, there's more. Not only are they saying that you can spread it to other people, they're saying that even if you recover and you beat the virus, in a time further in your life, years from now, it can come back. So what they're doing is if you ask me, their main goal is to really, what's the word? Extinguish and put out the light. They are just like movies. Have you ever seen the movies? Like, go look up Demolition Man. There's a movie with Sylvester Stallone and Wesley Snipes and Sandra Bullock. It's called The Demolition Man. In the movie, it's about Sylvester Stallone was a cop, and he was frozen, right, in a freezer or something, and then he woke up in the future, right? In this future, it was way in the future, with society and driving like their self cars and everything. Taco Bell ended up being like a high class restaurant. It's kind of funny. And there was people that I guess you would consider them the rebels. Well, in the movie they put them out like that. They were living underground, right? Doing normal things, smoking cigarettes, like reading books, doing like what society did. But the whole reason, okay, and then there was a scene when Sandra Bullock and Sylvester Stallone were getting intimate, and there were, Sylvester Stallone thought he was about to have sex, get intimate, but then Sandra Bullock, well, the character, gave Sylvester Stallone a helmet to put on, and he looked at it like, what is this? And it was actually like a virtual reality helmet where they connected like through the helmet, through the technology, and they had sex that way. It wasn't touching each other. It was like exchanging fluids and kissing. It was like taboo. And the reason for the extreme changes in what was going on, because of a pandemic that almost wiped out the world. Now, look at now. This is just the beginning. It's going to start from having people be scared of one another by way of diseases or sicknesses. And then it will progress to it's dangerous to have sex with people, even with your female, your spouse or your married loved ones. It's dangerous. It's dangerous to have your dogs and your cats around because they can carry viruses. Everything that is vital to growing in this world and being, having a family and, raising your kids, and they're destroying that. They're after that. So, give me a second, guys. 1 second. So that's basically, if there weren't any protests in Michigan or Texas, places like that, it would. Okay, this basically a massive worldwide to see how Americans are going to react. And that is basically what they're doing. So pay attention to the repetitive things they keep trying to bring up to in the news, the the news stories that they're bringing day to day. Pay attention. Pay attention in the morning. Pay attention at night. The stories that they're bringing and introducing. And sometimes they just plant little stories and little seeds, and they just do that just to plant a seed, and later on they turn up the heat. But the main thing of why this is going on, it is worldwide. And you might think, damn, how can they do something like that? Like, you're crazy. This is a conspiracy theory. Like, how can they shut down the whole world if they're really deceiving the whole world? And I want to tell you, listen, it's time for you to wake up and to sorry to say, but you need to see the world how it really is, and the world is ran by satanic, wicked people. These people are on top, are Luciferians. They worship Lucifer and they hate the real living God, which is Jesus Christ. And they control, and there's only a handful of people that control these big media companies, and a handful of people, there's one person that can control 10 networks. And everything that is happening is based off news and based off perception and based on the television. So it's really not that hard to manipulate society, especially when they don't have the Holy Spirit or God to help them see through the deception. When you accept that they are wicked people and these wicked people have an agenda, what they're doing is for a reason, you'll get to see the chess pieces a little clearer. Now, before I go, they are going to say that we beat this COVID thingy because of social distancing. They're going to say that we were able to win this battle or war because people listened and they kept away from each other. Why? Because they want to keep that planted in people's head. They want to keep people thinking that it is because of separation that we won these diseases. So what is that saying? That's saying, if you want to live, stay away from each other. And then they're already saying that the virus is going to come back in the fall. So they're already preparing for phase 2. They're already preparing for a second wave, and more people are going to be more willing, more ready, less of a fight, less of resistance. It's going to continue on to the vaccines, to the vaccinations. But until then, if you are awake and you see the truth, speak the truth. Do not be afraid. If you look crazy, then that's just the way it is. And you have to speak up. Just do it in a loving way. And yeah, guys, I hope this helped. I put my phone on charge. And God bless you guys, and I love you so much. Bye.